Hi guys, welcome to another episode of YLA Talk to Sing Song Share and Tell. I'm Roy.
And I'm Vincent. So today is we talk about this topic of why do we need a buyer's agent? Because in today's day, right, you can do it DIY yourself. The direct buyer can just go buy a house without an agent. So Roy, what do you think about this?
Good question. Yeah, so I think like what Vincent said, as the technology advances and all, buyers are also more well informed and they can actually do it themselves. So the market rate for buyers, if you are looking to buy a HDB, the charges that you actually need to incur is actually 1%. So we get this question very often: why do buyers actually need to pay this 1%? Or in terms of quantum, it could range from anywhere about $5,000 to $10,000 to buy a HDB. But actually for private, some buyers, they actually are not aware of as well that they do not actually need to pay any commission. Because we actually do this thing called the co-broking with the seller's agent. Yeah, but it's a very good question. So I always like to tell them, it's the same thing. If you are looking to plan like for a wedding, it's the first time you are doing it, so you might not know how can you do it properly and all. So it's the same thing that if you're looking to plan your first wedding, you will probably also engage a wedding planner. Right. Same thing for insurance. Yes, you can buy yourself, but there are so many products and things to choose from different companies. Yeah. How sure you are to actually choose the right one for you? So why we feel that it's important for you to have a buyer's agent, and we'll show run through some of the pointers lah. Yeah, I think first of all, this I just ask you. In terms of advice, what kind of advice that you can share with the clients and buyers out there?
I feel that because in today's day, in Singapore, it's a very fast-paced world. So it's like everyone is focusing on their everyday life. Just go to work, come back, eat dinner, then hopefully sleep, and they don't really have a chance to really catch up of property news or anything. And you just really need someone to actually come in to share with you some professional advice, about today's news, government aid policies, and all those things to actually help you to perhaps filter, and also to actually help you to narrow down what you truly need based on your request also. Yeah. So, and also another thing is that because we are always very day in out, right? We actually study about what's today development per se, which one is actually the right buy, what the price to actually enter, and or maybe perhaps exit. So this sort of advice is actually it might seems like just a free advice, but it actually costs you a lot more if you just say that you actually pay like maybe a CUV lah, all those prices that you do not want to enter in kind of thing. So I think I pretty much cover about the professional advices. So what about finances, Roy? Is there anything you want to touch on that?
Finances, I think, is a very big part when it comes to property purchasing or buying your first investment unit, because once you go wrong, that could actually lead you into a very costly move or costly decision that you could actually lose money on it. So finances, so why is it a very big part, right? I can't emphasize how important this is, because I have so many clients or buyers that come to me, right? Initially they thought that they have this budget of $2 million, but after I actually run through them the finances, check the kind of CPF that they have and the kind of loan that they can take, right? Eventually, they realize that they actually shortfall of 500K. They only can buy up to 1.5 million. Because why? Just to show you an example, for EC and for condos, there's the kind of different loan structures that buyers can take as well, and also the kind of loan, the difference in the kind of loan quantum that we also run through in our previous video as well. So these are certain things that buyers, they might not be aware of, that once they come to us, we actually can give them a more proper run through in terms of kind of finances that they in fact they really need. Apart from that, I think policies has been always changing. Last year to this year alone, I think cooling measures was kicking about minimally 2 to 3 times as well. So many changes in terms of the ratios and all. So sometimes buyers are also not aware of the latest ratios or the latest ABSD percentage that is being charged into this market. So with all this, we can actually better well inform the buyers or the clients that what they actually need to prepare beforehand. So in the end, they save their time. Instead of them thinking that they have this XXX amount, but eventually they go one big circle, they realize they cannot buy it, they cannot buy their dream home. So we're here to actually streamline the whole process, and then to make it a more smooth selling process for them. Yeah, correct. So I think with all this, with these finances, being settled, that's where they can actually properly then go ahead and make the best decision for themselves lah. I think that's the biggest portion, which is the financing portion. So I think another thing is also the timeline, because to a property, buying a property, especially buying and selling, there's a lot of different timeline that is being involved as well. Maybe Vincent, you want to share with them?
I think for timeline, right? I think it's, to me, is the most vital, important thing to actually to consider if you are doing, if you're engaging an agent or maybe you're doing yourself kind of thing. Ultimately, no right or wrong. But you know, if let's just say that, especially today, you're actually selling and to buy, right? You really need someone to actually plan for you, in a sense where if you're selling, right, at what point of time that you're actually not homeless, in a sense, right? You know, and someone that's actually, you know, like what we mentioned, day in and out, we actually help people to plan the timeline to ensure that they actually transit to the new house, you know, safely. You wouldn't need to worry about it. Like, so that I personally feel that, you know, this amount that you're paying, it makes more sense, right? Other than like you need you know, doing yourself kind of thing. Ultimately, you know, like what Roy had mentioned, you know, if you are planning for a wedding for first time, right? I mean, where can you plan for the second or third time kind of thing? So you really need someone to actually give you the advice kind of thing, right?
You want to be right on the first time.
Right,
you don't
exactly.
You don't want to lead it into another wrong move, and then eventually you spend more time and then money into it.
And yeah, I also like, you know, like seen cases as well where people need to move or transiting from selling to buying, right? They need to stay in a relative house, you know. The house is really very small, but then again, you know, they try to stay together in the meantime also.
I think another thing to touch on is also like, let's say for themselves, they did not plan the timeline properly, right? If they do not have that kind of relatives house as an alternative housing, then they have to spend additional cost to rent somewhere else.
Exactly.
So that will actually add on to the burden of already buying another big ticket item.
Correct.
Yeah,
so
correct.
I think personally, like property, right, it's like everyone's like largest asset. So I think when it comes to this thing, it's better to, you know, have someone to actually stand by you, really empathize you on what you really want,
and get a second opinion.
Correct.
Okay.
And yeah, I think other than that, I think the last one is really about, you know, when do you actually pay all those like miscellaneous fees, like let's just say stamp duty. When do you actually get your CPF refunds and all those things? When you actually sell your house, these are the questions that you know you don't really see it from on Google.
On the surface.
Yeah, on the surface. You only until then we actually go through and say, hey, yeah, I need to pay these out of things, right? Then it makes you know, you actually be quite scared kind of thing. So I think that's where you come into play, and to actually advise them when to pay and how to plan for them kind of thing.
Yeah, I think with that on the surface on social media, it seems that buying and selling property is so easy. But on the background, behind the scenes, right, there's crazy. So many different timelines, you know, when to pay your stamp duty, when the funds come in, and sometimes we need to work with, like, you know, lawyers, bankers, so many different other parties as well. So all these are not shown to the public, but it's all, actually we are all doing it behind.
It's really a lot of planning involved. I think we pretty much covered much about the timeline already, but I think one last thing that we should think about is also like a negotiation part. You know, someone to actually help you to, you know, discuss the prices between the co-brokes and stuff like that. Yeah. So Roy, would you want to take us through this thing?
Sure. So so earlier on we talked about the first few, you know, steps about buying a property. So now finally you found your dream home. Now it's the last phase of, like, you know, in terms of getting it, you know, so it's what the negotiation process. So this is also very important because why? Firstly, we are very well versed and updated with the transacted prices, valuation, with different bankers, we work with them. Let's say talk about buying, we know the kind of X value or the kind of quantum that we shouldn't offer exceed the amount. So with that, we are more well versed. And in fact, I think I just want to highlight one of my recent client for Affinity at Serangoon. In fact, this is a recent TOP project. So there are a lot of pocket listings that the prices are not reflected on the internet yet, but on the ground, because day in and day out, we are on the ground, and we also work with a lot of agents. So we actually know some of these properties that are being transacted, they are not really reflected. So with that, we can actually better advise our clients in order not to overpay. So that's in terms of the private market. And I think we also another colleague that, you know, her client, she was actually serving this buyer. Then this buyer actually think that, you know, by a bit 𝐧𝐞𝐞𝐿 in that sense that she thought she could actually do a better job that could actually, you know, save her a potential some commission. Correct. Then eventually the price that she got, she actually overpaid. We found out that she actually overpaid 30K than what the agent could actually reduce or negotiate the price to. So these are some things that, you know, buyers or clients don't really see upfront, but there are actually a lot of stuff that is actually ongoing at the back, behind the ground. Ultimately, when it comes to buying a house, most buyers, whether it's buying your first matrimonial home or buying an investment unit, sometimes buyers do get a bit more emotional, right? So I think we are more like a neutral party that we can think more logically in a sense, to not overpay, by a certain value, So these are some of the main few pointers that we want to, just share with you guys. I think we come to the end of this episode. See you in the next one.
Alright, see you.